I know just in working with you that you're always very clear about there's an intention. We don't just do things to do things, that there's an intention or something that drives us. And I'm curious, you decided to move this forward. What was your vision? Like, what was the intention in bringing this version of the ceremony out?
I knew that eventually the dance needed to go to people of all four directions because there was something that was going to happen, something in this world that was going to be a major change. And so that's been the whole purpose of the dance up to this day, is that change. And, because again, the people always said, this is a dance of change. If there's bad things that are coming or bad things that are here, well, then it's time to do the dance. And there was just something that I knew that we were going to be in the mess that we're in right now. So all these years of dancing, that's been preparing us for right now and what's coming in the future, which won't be no piece of cake either.
One conversation that we've been having in our pipe ceremonies almost every week, right, is we've been talking about how our experiences in ceremony and ritual has kind of prepared us for this time now.
Yeah, because it is a dance of change, and anybody that comes to this dance, their life has changed. It moves around. It moves things around, whether you like it or not. And, the old Rolling Stone song, you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. Mm-hmm. And, it's changed my life. It's changed everybody's life that has ever attended the dance. And it's like a stone in a pool. You throw a stone in a quiet pool and it ripples out. There's ripples when you cast that stone in that pool. And they go on pretty much into infinity. And so every person that has ever attended the dances is indeed changed. And in the process, it changes their family and it changes their friends and their friends of friends, and because it goes out, the prayers and things go out, and the way your life has changed.
Any thoughts about how you would hope the dance, the ceremony, or even the things you've been teaching people all these years, I mean, if you were to kind of focus on how you would hope those teachings help people today under these circumstances, what would you want people to take away from? What can they draw from that has been part of this communal process? What can they draw from that might help them out or give them something to look forward to?
Well, any type of ritual, be it what we do or what other people do around the world, there is a power of prayer. There's a power of being centered. There's that power of knowing that the Spirit is with you at all times. And those things are what's going to see us through. Mm. No matter what rituals you do.
Right.
One of the things that the Narayas encourages, and look into your own ancestry, see what's there. And if you go back further, if you go back enough, we have a common ancestry of that everybody in this world, their ancestors did ritual and danced around a common fire. When you go back, sometimes you have to go way back.
So I'm curious, Clyde, what is life for you like out on the Fort Hall under these circumstances? Like, what is it that you're doing for yourself and your family? Because I know you've got a full house right now.
Oh, yes. Well, we had our dance in Washington this year, the Northwest Dance, as we refer to it. And of course, the COVID was centered right there in Seattle. When I got off the plane in Pocatello, when I returned, I didn't know how much would change, drastically change. And all of us were not going to live our lives the way we lived it before. Yeah. And because I thought, well, this is the United States. They're prepared for things like this. We'll get through it. It won't be anything too much. They'll get a handle on it right away. Wrong. And so here we are. And when the Sioux Indians, going back to them, when they did their version of this dance, their world was falling apart, literally falling apart. The traditions and the life ways and everything that they had practiced for thousands of years, all of a sudden were not valid anymore. They had to dress in a new way. They had to live in different structures instead of round houses, square houses. They couldn't own language. Their beliefs were suppressed. There was starvation and famine amongst them, and they wanted to go back to the way it was before. And this dance helped them transition from their old world to the new world that they were coming into. And I think more than anything, like what I said about the dance that we do is going to help us transition into this new world, whatever kind of world it's going to be, because we are not going to be able to go back and have happy days anymore. That's done. When this pandemic is over, we just simply can't go back the way it was before. So we've got to be able to adopt and live in a new way, whatever that way is. And not just the United States, but the whole world.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of, I had a question here about what's your vision for the future of the ceremony. I think you kind of spoke to that, right? Is if we're moving into these changing times, then this dance, this ceremony will help us transition into that place. Is there more you would, like, what do you see as the future for Naraya at this point?
I put it in Spirit's hands, and we'll see where it goes from here. This particular one. We'll see where it goes from here and how it works in the world. Because there's still a need for it. Because we're in the midst of this whirlwind of change. And the change, the pandemic is just part of it. It isn't the whole thing. It's just a part of it. We're really going to have to hang on tight. And I think this dance will go for as long as it needs to. Because it's going to be much needed, and ceremonies like it that are practiced all over the world. There will be an essential need for this, to embrace that change.
Yeah.
Because some of this stuff in the future, it's not going to be pretty. It's not. Some of it, when I sit and have, my meditations and stuff, some of it scares the hell out of me. What's going to happen?
I'm wondering if you have any words. I'm hearing you say, yes, there's challenging times coming. And maybe to finish the sentence, there's challenging time coming. It's going to be difficult. And here's my advice to you and how to weather that storm. How would you finish that sentence? What would be the advice you would want to give the dancers and those who kind of look for you for guidance in these areas?
You got to keep yourself balanced in this time of adversity with your spiritual practices that you have. Be it whatever you believe in your spiritual practices. With me, it's pipe. With me, it's all these different things, and be able to talk to that spirit, being led by those spirits 24/7. If you're not doing that, well, then you need to brush up on it, and that's whatever traditions you believe in, because that's going to be your center in the future. That's going to be how you get through it. Yeah,
balance.
Balance.
I don't smoke more tobacco in the last 6 months than I have my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey is asking a question about how can we step forward to help the dance move forward, and how can we show up to be of service? And I think he's talking in particular in service to the dance. How would you like to see people moving the vision of the dance forward at this point?
Well, because it is its own unique thing. It's not mimicking any particular tribe or not mimicking anything. The dance is its own thing. It's morphed into its own. It serves the people that participate in it, and those people that have all kinds of different spiritual practices and traditions has made it morph into what it is today. And it's always in kind of a flux of change. It's always moving and upgrading in itself. and that process is not finished. And so how would you be in service of this? Well, we're doing the dance from afar this year. There won't be any physical dances except the one we held earlier this year. And goodness knows how long that's going to go on, the dancing from afar. And so that's important to stay plugged in. That's important to stay tied to the dance communities, is by practicing and participating in these dance from afar rituals. They've been a tremendous success. Each community has done their own version, which I wouldn't expect less, because everybody's so unique. Each community is so unique. And so you have to do that and stay in contact with each other. We're a big, large family that's all over the world. And so we need to stay in contact with each other, be supportive of each other. Phone people up, that are in the dance community. How are you doing? What's going on with you? Are you feeling okay? How are you? Just things like that. That's the most important thing right now, is to be in service to each other. That's the most important thing. Be supportive and be in service with each other. Yeah.
I wanted to go back to that Starhawk quote, because as I'm listening to your story, I'm I'm thinking in so many interesting ways how your service of bringing the dance forward has really been a manifestation of this comment again about how does my spiritual practice in daily life serve the earth? How does my spiritual practice in daily life affect the poorest third of humanity? And how will my spiritual practice in daily life affect the generations to come in the future? And I know, we're seeing young people show up. We're seeing, there is a new generation emerging through this process. I think about Hannah Rose, who has grown up through this dance and who she is today as a bundle keeper for her community.
One of the greatest gifts that I've had with being sequestered at home with my 3 grandchildren is that it gives me the time to teach them about a lot of things. I'm teaching Joe Angelo and his sister Alicia, who's 11. I'm teaching them how to carry pipe, and they have their own little pipes, and that's their spiritual beliefs. They say, "Grandpa, we need to have a pipe ceremony." And Laney was here, and he just thought that what was happening was just all real cute. He just really liked that he had participated in one of our ceremonies. And, and my little corn children, as I affectionately call them, that's their beliefs. That's, they never went to church. They never went anywhere like that. Their beliefs revolve around that pipe and and the conduct around the pipe and how you live your life around the pipe. So I think that's been a good gift for, and my experience here with my kids is that, it's given me the time to do this. Because before, like last year, I didn't have any time. I was just always running around, going to this ceremony, going to that ceremony, going to, all kinds of things. My schedule was really, really busy. And now there's nothing. So I can focus on them.
Yeah. And I know those babies love you.
Yes, they do.
Hey, Walter asked a question about the pipe and wondering if you could speak a little bit about the role of the sacred pipe in relationship to the dance.
We always open the ceremony and conclude the ceremony with the smoking of the pipes, the filling of the pipes, because when you fill those pipes and they're at the ceremony on the rack, they witness everything and they absorb the energies that happen at the dance, and everything. And then and then when the pipe ceremony is done, when we smoke the pipe, it releases all of that into the spirit. Everything that those pipes have witnessed is in that tobacco. And you well know, those of you that carry pipe, you put your fingers around the bowl because each one of those little tobaccos has a prayer in it. It's been offered. It's been offered to the spirit. It's the spirits. So you have to be very careful with that. And when you do the ceremony, it becomes intensely concentrated in the bowl of that pipe. In the tobacco in the bowl of that pipe, in essence, is a microcosm of the universe. And, so when you release all that, all those prayers and everything that those pipes have witnessed goes to the spirit.
Jan has sent a question about dancing from afar. And basically her question is, now that we're dancing from afar, how would you suggest bringing new people into the community? How do we facilitate that with this new way of dancing?
That's a hard one. Again, it's by your conduct. People of like mind, people that that will resonate with the dance. I had one lady that I'd never met from Ashton, Idaho, come here yesterday, and she wanted to donate all her mother's clothes to the reservation. So I said, bring them on down. And she was the most wonderful lady. And she said, well, this group you belong to, Mariah Cultural Preservation Council, what else do you do? And I said, well, we hold these dances. And I knew in my heart of hearts that she would be a good person to come into this way. You know, she just was there. I knew it. And that's why a lot of times we sponsor people into the dances. You know, I'll eventually get her into one of these dances because she's that kind of person. I know that she would do really well at it, and she's looking for answers. Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of people that you want to have, new people in the dance. Person to people, heart to heart. This person fit in well, but this person, you know, be able to understand in their heart what we're doing. And so as far as the recruitment during this time of dancing from afar, yeah, there has been people that has never attended the dance that have attended the dancing from afar rituals, and it's been very good for them. You know, it's a powerful way of doing things. It's a powerful way of believing in things, and it's going to affect you one way or the other.
Let me ask one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. I'll try to keep it really simple, which is a lie. You know, we're kind of as this country is going through these interesting race dynamics and issues, and we talk about we're a dance for all people, and yet we tend to really dominate a Caucasian approach to a Native ceremony.
Yeah.
And, I think what we're really, I know we've had these discussions about how do we diversify and broaden our circle to bring people from other cultures and traditions and tribal relations. What would you like to see dancers in the community do today to help broaden that net and to be more inclusive in our processes?
Well, I take again the example of the second year in New York and the Yoruba people and the Taino people coming in, and that rocked our world. And there's been a number of people that have come to Narayas over the years that have rocked our world for better or worse.
What role do you see, like, how did those Taino people, how did they get invited to the dance, and how was it that they were drawn in, and how do you see each of us in this circle incorporating that mentality?
Well, again, it's seeing people that would resonate with dance. Taino people and the Yoruba people were invited by Charles Lawrence group that he had at that point. And perhaps it was led by spirit, changed us, and it changed the dance. And over the process of the years, certain dynamic individuals or groups that have come have changed it even further. And so it's always in a process of change and adopting. Currently, we have through the Naraya Cultural Preservation Council, we have a task force on racism that meets once a month to address, because the last dance in California, there were several African-American ladies that were slighted. They felt that like they were slighted at that dance. And, I looked into each of their accusations. I talked to all the people that were involved with it. And it wasn't exactly as they perceived it. But there's the Racism Task Force that is doing wonderful things, marvelous things. There's going to be, I think, a newsletter that comes out on what they've done for to help sensitize the various communities to exactly the question that you're asking.
Good.
And that will work with the will of Spirit. Because, in a way, the dance is like a miner's canary. This happened long before what's happening now on a grander scale. And so how can we upgrade the dance? How can we make people feel welcome that aren't, that follow different beliefs and different paths and their different ethnicities?
Clyde, I want to thank you for the bravery to step up 30 years ago and to work with Emma's vision and your vision, and to bring, I know the dance, I've been around for a while to know that it's had its bumps and bruises, and yet, here we are today. And then I want to thank everyone who joined us today. I appreciate your attentiveness and support. Again, if you'd like to make an offering, that's posted on Facebook, my Venmo, and my PayPal. And again, everything that you donate will be forwarded to Clyde as the offering for being with us today.
The last things I'd like to say, Jerry, is that any offerings that come, I will use them to help the people here. I have a lot of grassroots people that, in need of different things. And so I put that into a special fund, and it's not going to go in my pocket. It's going to go for, to help the people here. And another thing, too, the most important thing I can leave you with is this, that a long time ago, I learned to put my life in Spirit's hands. That's an absolute trust. It's a blind leap of faith. And every night I say a prayer that goes something like, Spirit, I put myself into your hands. You do with my life what you want to have happen to it. Lead me to good and wonderful things and wonderful people. And I say that consistently every night. And indeed, it has, because I have that absolute trust in the Spirit. When I say I put my life in your hands, I really mean that. I do. And my life has been a process of wonderful things happening. I've lived a rich and varied life because of that trust. Sometimes it's been rather terrorizing, but it's all worked out in the end for good. So that's the thing. You got to do that. You just got to take that blind leap of faith and that trust. The Spirit will lead you to good things. And say that repeatedly and thank them for doing that.